G'day humans, Stead here. Got a bit of a review for you today. I'm in the audience of the new Sony A80L TV. This is the kind of entry-level OLED for the 2023 range. Now, if you're like me and you're wondering what the A and the L and the X and the K and all those types of things mean on a Sony TV, A means OLED. Don't know why it's not an O, but it's A. And L is 2023. So if you're seeing a K, it's a 2022 model and so forth backwards. If you're seeing an X, that's referring to the LED range of the Sony TV. So this is the A OLED and a 2023 model, the A80. And if it's 75, 80, 90, it's a better TV as you go up that way as well. Now, I've been experiencing this for the last 24 hours or so, just watching a lot of movies, playing around with it a lot. This is a really interesting TV. Now, screen-wise and in terms of just the quality of the picture, really impressive. This is all run by the Bravia XR chip, so it's like a system on a chip. It's got this extra processing power, like I think it's got 16 gigabytes of RAM on it, and a few bits and pieces like that. So this is doing a lot of processing in the actual TV itself. This is kind of where the new frontier is, I guess, with these new TVs, is the panels are all getting pretty similar. Obviously, we're not really pushing past that 4K res too much. This is a 4K TV. Yes, you can get 8K TVs, but there's not 8K TV content going around. So it's all about the processor and how well that's going to I guess, allow things to be compressed and uncompressed, and also the XR works with the upscaling. It helps with the Dolby Vision, it helps with the LED contrast, all that type of stuff is all kind of off that XR chip. So that's all in this particular model, and it does a really, really good job. We watched three movies over the last 24 hours and really got different kind of perspectives on the TV, and across the board looks great. Also sounds great. So one of the really interesting things about this TV is it's actually got 5 speakers built into it behind the panel. So the actual sound's coming through the glass. So there's 3 actuators, just 10 watts, and then 2 10-watt subwoofers as well. So it's got a bit of bass and a bit of sound, and the sound quality that comes out of this is actually really quite impressive. Now what's particularly, I guess, surprising is that this is also built very much, and they're very much pushing for you to pair this with their sound bars. So the way that this particular model works with the XR chip and the quality of the model, this is not on the lower end X models, but definitely when you go into the A models and the higher end X models, you're going to have this thing called an acoustic sync. So basically what that allows you to do is if you've got a sound bar down here, you can hardwire the sound bar. It's got its own cable, its own ports, it doesn't take up another port, into the TV, and then the TV's 5 speakers will also work with the soundbar speakers to create this more enjoyable and more authentic sound experience. And what it actually does is it takes the voice of the characters and puts that in that central speaker, and it delays it just a little bit, like a microsecond, so that it looks like the sound is coming from their actual mouths and not from the soundbar down here. And it actually works pretty well. As you can see, I don't have the soundbar set up here, but I did go to a Sony briefing where they showed all this in action, and it was really quite impressive. So this TV can do that if you've got it paired with a Sony soundbar. And there's all these other perks if you've got it with a Sony soundbar as well. You know, it's built automatically to adapt for PlayStation 5s, for example. You can use your TV remote with the PlayStation 5. And there's other integrations as well that are very specific if you've got the Sony soundbar and the TV. But we're focusing on just the TV here. Now, one of the things that they're pushing a lot this year, Sony, is this thing down here, Bravia Core. Now, Bravia Core is like, it's almost like their own streaming service. So it's kind of all the Sony pictures, movies put into a streaming service for you. And when you buy this particular TV, you're given 10 credits because of the model. So I should point out, if you get onto the lower models, you only get 5 credits and 12 months of streaming access. But if you've got the higher end TVs like this, at the higher end of the range, you're going to get 10 credits. So that allows you to get 10 movies. So you can buy any 10 movies and you keep them forever, as long as you've got a Sony TV and account to look at them off. And you get 24 months of access to streaming stuff. So if we have a look at the unlimited streaming here, you've got a range of different movies you can choose. Now this is all just included, so it's like an added value thing, and they're really pushing it as this kind of cool added value thing, and it is, it's definitely added value to be able to just watch any of these movies. But as you can probably already see, these aren't recent movies. Now the idea is that about 6 weeks after any Sony Pictures things comes into a cinema, it'll also become available as a movie credit that you can download. So these are the older kind of legacy titles. You can just stream this as many times as you want, or you can go into the movies to redeem here, and you can redeem these at or buy them once you've cleared your 10 credits to keep forever. And these are more recent films such as 65, which is one of the films I watched last night. It's okay, it wasn't great, it was okay. Yeah, and so you basically, I don't really know how much value this actually adds, because who doesn't have at least a Netflix or something? But at least you're going, like you're starting with something to do. But what's particularly cool and where this actually does shine is what's called Purestream. Now hopefully I can pull one up that's got Purestream. So this is the IMAX enhanced as well. So it's also got IMAX enhanced, which basically means you're supposed to get the full width. So instead of getting the big fat black bars across the bottom, when it's IMAX enhanced, you get the original shoot in IMAX. It's a bit bigger. You're making use of that exact screen real estate. The problem is that I watched 3 IMAX enhanced films in the last 24 hours, and 2 of them didn't do that. Only 1 did. The other 2 just did the black bars anyway. So I'm not sure, I checked every possible setting. It's definitely set to IMAX enhanced, as you can see there on the menu. So that's a curiosity. But if you go into here, you'll see up here Purestream. Now Purestream is something that's specific to the Sonys. It's run by Sony, and it's what runs this Bravia core system, and it's an 80 megabits per second stream. So that's giving you like ridiculously high quality. Now, they were doing some comparisons on this. They said Netflix is about 25 megabits per second. Apple TV Plus is the best of kind of all of them. That's 40 megabits a second. Now, they're all showing stuff in 4K. But what's really interesting is that the more that you're pumping through, the better the finer details in that 4K is. So the fact that you can get 80 megabits a second here worth of like content coming in and decompressing and showing all in real time, or you know, as it goes, definitely is impressive. And when you look between the different stream qualities and that, you can definitely see there's finer details, there's deeper blacks, that type of thing. It's less muddy, a bit brighter, a lot brighter. You really notice that with the Purestream. So that's the kind of benefit of having this Bravia core aspect, is that you can access this Purestream, you can access up to 10 movies, any unlimited streaming, and you can get this content at a higher quality than you can get on any of the just generic streaming, or not generic, but other streaming platforms. And this TV is going to make the most of it. The problem is obviously you need at least 8 megabits a second internet speed to be able to get that. So depending where you are in Australia and what your NBN quality is like, you may not actually be able to hit that target, but you're still probably going to get better than you're going to get on Netflix anyway. So that's definitely one of the big, that's the big plus, right? And the thing is though, that library is never going to really grow that fast, because it's linked to Sony Pictures and what Sony Pictures can output. So it's just, that's where you're stuck at. So you're not going to suddenly get this whole bunch of range of content here, at least not in the short term anyway. So I'll put on something so you can just kind of see how it looks. I'll see if I can find something that's actually got some nice outdoor environments. You can really see hopefully how it pops, and I'll have to put it on mute. Otherwise you'll be able to hear me. So we were just, so you can really see, you can see like just how bright and beautiful this TV really looks. But as you can see, this is IMAX enhanced, but it's not actually IMAX enhancing it. So those bars should be basically gone. It's not happening. It's interestingly down here, you've got the stands as well. Now these stands are designed to be able to work with a Sony soundbar, so you can't, right now they're set really quite low. But I am told, not that I could test it because it's actually quite a bit heavier than you might think. You can raise this so that your soundbar can sit without blocking the screen, which of course you're going to need. And they can also be opened up depending on the size soundbar that you get. So you can actually, move that around as required by the size of your entertainment unit and the size of your soundbar, if you have one. Obviously you can also wall mount it as well. Speaking of which, here's the side profile, as you can see, just it's got a really good bezel, really nice bezel, elegant, straight up to the edge, the glass. And I'll show you on a quick look here at the reflection. This is a pretty brutal test, I've got to tell you, because it's the black there. I've got that window wide open, so probably not a typical viewing situation for many. And you know what, it looks pretty reflective like that. Now I'm just going to show you now what it's like when you close that window, so you can just have a comparison. You can still see a bit of it. Look, while you're actually watching the TV, when you've got something actually playing, I didn't notice a reflection at all. But you know, as you can see there, if you really push it to the limits, you can. The remote, nice, sleek, not too thin, pretty easy to use and access, and crunchy roll on there as well. But definitely a bit of an update from the last remote. Lastly, here's the ports on the back. Now look, it's only got the two 2.1 HDMI ports. It's a real bugger because one of those ports is the EARC port, right? So the problem you have is that as soon as you need to plug in a soundbar, which uses one of the EARC ports or EARC ports, and also plug in a console, unless your soundbar has pass-through, then you're immediately limited to just the one 2.1 HDMI port, because basically you can't plug in an Xbox and a PlayStation and put it out to a soundbar at the same time. So it's a bit of a frustration of mine. I did ask Sony what the go is, and they said it's basically to do with the motherboards, which are just, you know, used across many of the different TVs and manufacturers, and the motherboards only have the two HDMI 2.1 ports. But in 2023, that does seem like an undercut for me, especially given that it's got some pretty strong gaming features here, including for the first time a game-specific menu bar that you can bring up. In here, you've got a couple of cheat sheets you can do. You can make it so the black areas are easy to see, and you can also bring up a crosshair as well, which gives you a bit of a cheat. You can change the screen size, and obviously the modes, kind of the picture modes, adapt between gaming and movies and TV depending on the genre and so forth like that. So pretty impressive range there, and that's that kind of, you know, with PlayStation vibe that it has. So there you go, I just played a little bit of sound. It's probably not the most dynamic scene to ever get sound out of. How about we go back to something that's a bit more action focused. What have we got here? So we jump into Spider-Man, hopefully have a bit more bangs, a bit more pops, and you can get an idea for the sound. Rolling. So as you can see, that's probably about half volume, so it really pumps the audio. You know, I don't even know if you really need a soundbar necessarily, maybe just a sub to get a bit extra bass. And you can see that's actually IMAX enhanced, so you've got the extra screen there. So this is one of the movies that is actually working in IMAX enhanced mode. And in my test, this hotel was doing about 40 to 50 megabits a second, so it can get better than this as well. Anyway, so overall, look, I'm not 100% sold on the value of Bravia Core yet, just because the catalog is just not as compelling as it needs to be a really winning feature. But I definitely love the idea of Purestream and what it offers. I definitely love the fact that you can reach to this further echelon of quality with this TV. I love how it plugs into the PlayStation 5. If you're a PlayStation 5 user, and the way that all works, like we played some Call of Duty yesterday, it was pretty amazing. Linking the soundbar, the TV, and the PS5 all into one ecosystem was a really, really good job. The screen does pop, it does a really good job. We're actually in a really bright room right here. There's a big window behind you with a lot of sunlight coming through, and the reflections aren't too bad. The view angle is also really good. And the UI, the Google TV side of things with this, it's got 10,000 apps or something now you can access on Google TV. Also makes the user experience really quite good. Just a couple of curiosities, like I don't know why the IMAX Enhanced stuff isn't working for all of them. And like I said, if you've got a really high, a really good internet at home, you're really going to maximise this TV as well. Anyway, so those are my thoughts on the A80L from Sony. It's coming out in 2023. Pretty impressive, really. Thanks very much for watching. I'm Stead, and until next time, you!